The summer of 1969. There's a reason it launched so many songs and books and TV shows. It was one of the most eventful periods in modern U.S. history. Woodstock, the Stonewall riots. We landed on the moon. Or did we? No, we're not going there. So much of how we live today stems from those iconic moments. And it's fitting that today's story begins there as well. That same summer, a fire on the Cuyahoga River in Cleveland, Ohio, set an entire movement ablaze.
It was kind of unusual when somebody would yell fire and tell you to run away from the river.
One of Time magazine's August issues that year featured the story along with dramatic images of smoke and flames ripping across the river. It turns out, pictures were actually from another fire in 1952. There had already been dozens of them in industrial waterways across the country. But the article became the spark the nation needed to finally take conservation seriously. It led to the Clean Water Act, creation of the EPA, and the first Earth Day, April 22nd, 1970. We've learned a lot in 50 years, and the environmental movement has grown far beyond cleaning the rivers and streams to tackling the global problems of carbon emissions and temperatures that continue to climb. The latest climate report from the United Nations has been called a red alert. Record levels of CO2 emissions in the atmosphere, the hottest decade in history, rapidly melting Arctic ice, and species rapidly disappearing from the planet.
We have run out of excuses and we are running out of time.
Citizens of the world agree. In a survey of more than 1 million people across 50 countries during the pandemic, 64% said climate change is a global emergency. Now comes the hard part, politics. President Biden made good on his promise to bring the United States back into the Paris Climate Agreement. And the White House is hosting a summit on Earth Day, gathering dozens of world leaders. It will be the most important diplomatic effort on the global stage of President Biden to date. But all eyes will really be on 4 nations, the top carbon emitters in the world: China, the United States, India, and Russia. The White House has signaled a desire to lead on goals of eliminating carbon emissions, net zero as it's called, by 2050. But there will be roadblocks in Congress and resistance from Beijing. And in a GZERO world, does anybody really cooperate anymore? Is net zero truly attainable? And how can nations come together to get there when they've been so far apart for so long?